You're going to learn about the Pythagorean identities. These are actually three of the very most used identities that we have. Um, so go back to our unit circle. Think about your triangle. This is your x, this is your y, and this is your radius. In our unit circle, that radius is 1. So technically, we would have x squared plus y squared equal 1. But if you remember, x is cosine and y is sine. So technically, when I square, I'm actually doing this backwards. I know that sine is technically the y, but the identity is usually written sine squared plus cosine squared is equal to 1. This is your first Pythagorean identity. My trig teacher always said this was the most important identity that you're going to know, need to know, to use the most often. But it's actually derived from the unit circle, where we just have, it's called Pythagorean identity because it's basically come from the Pythagorean theorem that you learned back in geometry. So that's the first one. Now, there's two others that come with this, and I'm going to actually show you where they come from so that if you ever forget what they are, you don't have to have it memorized. You can always find them. So here's our most important one, sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. Think about dividing by sine squared. Take everything and divide it by sine squared. You're going to end up with 1. And cosine over sine is really cotangent. So since they're both squared, it's cotangent squared. And 1 over sine is really cosecant, so we end up with cosecant squared. So dividing by sine gives us, let's highlight them. Here's the first one. Here's the second one. And instead of dividing by sine squared, this time we're going to divide by cosine squared. And when I simplify, sine over cosine is tangent. Cosine over cosine would be 1. And 1 over cosine would be secant. So now we have the third identity. These three are considered the Pythagorean identities.